Right, guys, let's start. Coming back to your TFT, today we'll complete TFT. So, about TFT, yesterday I told you there are a bunch of tests that you will conduct in TFT, that is thyroid function test. Based on what you're looking for, they are classified into different categories. You will either assess the primary function, that is by those four tests where you are giving radioiodine uptake, like you administer radioiodine to the patient and you check later on, or you will check the amount of protein bound iodine, or you will see how much amount of T3 is being suppressed, or you will directly stimulate TSH and TRH and check their responses. So those will be the first categories. Then you will check blood levels and so on and so forth. They are scanning and images of thyroid gland to observe any goiter or subsuch bodies. You will also have immunological tests for antibodies. So in case of Graves disease, if someone is suspecting Graves disease, then immunological tests are warranted. Now, coming to the first one, how do you measure blood levels? Now, there is something called Clinical Laboratories Amendment Act. Okay, that it क्या बोलते हैं? Clinical Laboratories Implementation Amendments बोल के एक reference range है, basically एक standard है through which you can compare what should be normal of different ranges. So if when we talk about thyroid hormone specifically, your FT3 level, free T3 levels in your body should be 1.21 to 4.18. That is picogram. That is 10 to the power minus 12. Okay. So for example, 1 gram is, let's suppose, 1 GM, right? Picogram will be 10 to the power minus 12 grams. So that is, for example, microgram is 10 power minus 6. The same way, picogram will be 10 power minus 6. Now, FT4 will be slightly higher because you know that will be more in circulatory amount. FT3 is more active cellularly. It is the more metabolically active compound of or active hormone of thyroid. So that will be lesser in the circulation. TSH levels are micro IU per ml, that is international units. All right. Now, what you can do is most commonly used or most popularly used is thyroid panel. So, if someone is suspecting hypo or hyperthyroidism, they will perform a thyroid panel for that for the person, and they will basically check what is FT3, FT4, and TSH in that, right? Along with a bunch of other stuff. Now, some common techniques that are used here, the main one that you need to remember is ELISA. The others are also important. Radioimmunoassay and ELISA are the important ones, but you will have to mention all of them in your exam though. Right, now, coming to, okay, there are more people coming in. Achan 80 chai, okay. Right, coming to the first one, test based on primary function. How do you assess the primary function of the thyroid gland? Right. So the test is radioiodine uptake study, that is also called RIU. Basically it is a test in which you trap iodine. How you do that is you administer a small dose of what do you call iodine 131. Iodine 131 is a radioactive element, and its measurement is done in what do you call Curie. Okay, if you remember, there was a person called Madame Curie who worked with radium and who was the first person to what do you call come up with radioactive elements, to what do you call discover radioactive elements, right? She got double Nobel award. She was the first lady to get a double Nobel award, right? Now, coming back to our topic, micro CI that you see is micro Curie. Okay, so that is the dose of iodine that you administer to the patient. Now, what you do is after 24 hours, you will check the accumulation of that iodine in the thyroid gland. Now, normally, you know that iodine is responsible for the formation of T3 and T4. If you remember in the initial part of the classes before we started TFT, I told you that T3 and T4 are made using iodine and tyrosine. When they combine with each other, they will give you DIT and MIT, that is diiodothyronine and monoiodothyronine. That is the one iodine and two iodine moieties. They combine with each other to form a triiodothyronine molecule, or two diiodine tyrosine molecule will combine with each other to form a tetraiodine tyrosine molecule. So you will get T4 and T3 with that, right? Now in this, what you do is from this you can assess that iodine is very important for the basically if iodine is not there you will not get any thyroid hormone, right? If there is lack of iodine you will not get that. So in this you are basically assessing whether your thyroid gland is functioning properly or not by its capacity to trap iodine. So basically you are checking whether your thyroid gland can trap iodine and use it. So what you do is, here you are specifically using radioactive type because it is easier to scan for that radioactive iodine and to test for radioactive iodine. Normal iodine, it will be harder to study that. So radioactive iodine is used instead. Now what you do is, you measure the uptake study, how much uptake is by that thyroid gland by the concentration of that isotope. So here I-131 will be the isotope, the radioactive isotope. Okay, here you are checking how much amount of iodine your thyroid is able to take inside so that it can form thyroid hormones. The basic information is your thyroid hormone, your thyroid gland needs iodine to make thyroid hormones. If iodine is not present, you will not get any thyroid hormone. If your thyroid gland is functioning normally, it should be able to take the iodine and form T3, T4, right? What you are checking here is whether or not your thyroid gland is working properly. All right. How you check that is, you give I-131, which is the radioactive isotope of iodine, and you will measure the uptake of that gland. You will measure the uptake of thyroid, uh, the amount of iodine it can trap. How you do that is by this formula. You measure the concentration of isotope in thyroid gland. See, when you perform, when you induce a patient or you give a patient I-131, it will light up like a light bulb. Okay, whenever you scan the patient, it will light up. So you will be clearly able to see, if you scan the patient's thyroid gland, you'll be able to see how bright that thyroid gland is in specific area. Based on the intensity of that light that is coming out, you can assess how much concentration of iodine is present. I'll repeat once again. Now if I'm giving, let's suppose, normal iodine to person A, and what do you call radioactive iodine to person B. In person A, I will not find, it will be very hard to detect the amount of thyroid that the amount of iodine that the thyroid gland is taking, because it will be very hard to distinguish between other elements and iodine. Whereas if I'm giving radioactive iodine will have a sort of illumination to it. It will light up literally. So when I scan for that, what will happen is, I will be able to, your thyroid gland will literally shine at some points based on the amount of, what you call, the intensity of that light which is coming out. You can assess how much concentration of iodine has been absorbed by your thyroid gland. So you take that and you measure that uh, against the total amount of iodine that you give. So let's suppose I gave 10 picograms of your I-31, 10 picograms micro mercury there है ना, microcurie there है. So out of this, let's suppose your thyroid gland is able to absorb what do you call 8 units, okay, 8 microcurie. So I can tell that the uptake study will what do you call, give you a range of 80%. Here normal range is 20 to 40%, meaning that your thyroid gland should normally take in 2 to 4 molecules out of every 10 molecules of iodine. Okay, I'll repeat the procedure once again. What is happening? You are taking an radioactive isotope of iodine and you are giving the patient that iodine orally. After giving that, you measure how much amount of iodine, the radioactive iodine, that is being taken in by the thyroid gland of that patient. Okay? Normally, if the patient does not have any problem in their thyroid gland, out of 10 molecules, 2 to 4 molecules should go inside. So if I'm giving 10 microcurie, the thyroid gland should ideally absorb 2 to 4 microcurie. So that will give you a normal range of 20 to 40%. How I measure that is, I will find the ratio between, stop drawing on that. I will find the ratio between the concentration of isotope in your thyroid gland. Who is drawing? Please stop drawing on the PDF. Right. Now, what do you call, how you measure that is by measuring or finding the ratio between the concentration of isotope that is present inside the thyroid gland, basically meaning how much amount of how much amount of iodine the thyroid gland has absorbed versus how much you actually administered. So in case your thyroid gland is taking, let's suppose 4 microcurie, okay, so that will be 4 divided by 10 microcurie, which is the total dose that you gave, into 100. This will give you 40%, right? That is how you find the uptake or the normal range of uh, find the range of uptake of your thyroid gland. This is how you will be able to measure. So if it is taking more or if it is taking less, then you know that it is a problem. Okay, the interpretation is here. If the uptake is more, if it is taking more amount of iodine than 40%, that will indicate a condition which is hyperthyroidism or endemic goiter, wherein the patient has innate iodine deficiency and the thyroid gland is absorbing more and more amount of iodine, whatever you are providing. Or if the uptake is very less, that will indicate hypothyroidism. All right. Did you guys understand what I just explained? What is RIU? I hope you understood. If you did not understand, please let me know. I will repeat once again, or any specific part that you didn't understand. Okay, no doubts, I guess. So coming to radioiodine uptake thyrotoxicosis. Now, the uptake of RIU will vary depending on the condition. So in thyrotoxicosis as well, depending on what kind of condition is there. Yeah, someone has a doubt. Sir, please explain uptake study. Okay, the interpretation or this formula uptake study
formula, sir. वो formula
formula. Okay, देखो अब एक स्पॉन्ज है समझो, ठीक है? Sponge कितना absorb, for example, just forget about this for now. I have one piece of sponge. Now I want to measure how much amount of water this sponge can absorb. Okay, so what I will
okay.
do is, let's suppose I am taking 100 ml of water, okay, 100 or 1 liter of water, for example, 1 liter of water on a normal sponge, and I'm pouring that water on the sponge. All right. After pouring the water, what I will do is, see, one way of assessing here is to measure the weight. What I will do is I will take a weighing scale. I will measure a dry sponge first. That same sponge, when it is dry, I will weight. And let's suppose I'm getting some 5-6 grams worth of weight, okay, or 10 grams worth of weight. Okay. After pouring
Okay.
water in it, I will measure it again. Okay. Before what do you call, any water seeps out of the sponge, I will measure that wet sponge again. Let's suppose I am getting something around 300-400 grams. Okay. Your water, roughly 1 liter of water will have the same weight in kgs. 1 liter of water will be almost equal to 1 kg at 4 degrees centigrade. Okay. So
Okay.
this is basic chemistry. Now,
Yes, sir.
from this, I can assess that that sponge is what do you call, absorbing 40% of water that I'm giving it. और in this case, are you able to understand? अब मैं 1 लीटर
Yes,
दिया
sir.
था, मतलब 1000 ml दिया, उसमें से 400
हाँ,
ml absorb कर लिया, तो 400 grams का हो गया वो basically. So
हाँ.
the uptake study is similar here. The sponge will be your thyroid gland. The water that you're pouring is iodine, the radioactive iodine, okay, I-131.
Mm.
So when I give radioactive iodine, how much amount of iodine is the thyroid gland able to absorb? If it the normal amount of iodine that the thyroid gland should be able to absorb is 20 to 40% of whatever I'm giving. So if I'm giving 100 molecules, out of that 20 or 40, 20 to 40 molecules should be absorbed by a thyroid gland. How I find that is by measuring the concentration of isotope in the thyroid gland. तो मैं radioactive isotope दिया तो वो दिखने लगता. Whenever I scan it,
Definitely.
I'll be able to see it. All right. So I will measure that. Let's suppose that is 20 microcurie versus total that I gave, 2 microcurie, sorry, versus total that I gave is 10 microcurie into 100. So 2 by 10 into 100, I will get 20%. Okay.
Yes, sir. समझ
समझ
में
में
आया.
आया? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anyone else have any doubts in this? So you have to speak up like him, or else I will not be able to understand whether you have or not any doubt. Okay, coming to radioactive uptake in thyrotoxicosis, how it will vary. So if I do the same test in different conditions, I will get different results. So in Graves disease, you will get a very high result, meaning you will get 60, 70, 80%. Okay, very high result. That is one condition. Or In multilodular goiter, you'll have slightly high. Single functional, you don't need to know all of this, but Graves disease का एक important है. Silent thyroiditis is hypothyroidism where you are not having, uh, sorry, hyperthyroidism where you are having the symptoms are not exactly exhibiting properly. That is silent thyroiditis. Okay, there will be inflammation of your thyroid gland, but the symptoms are not as profound. Okay, so these are some of the conditions. Here the important one will be Graves disease. These other ones are examples that you need to remember. You will understand this better next year when you understand thyroid disorders in pathology. Right. Coming to TRH stimulation test, what do you do in this? Now the objective of this is to assess functional integrity of your thyrotropic cells. Thyrotropic cells are the cells that will secrete TRH. These are present in your hypothalamus. If you remember, hypothalamus is secreting what you call TRH. So hypothalamus secretes TRH. TRH will go to your pituitary. Pituitary से TSH आता. TSH will go to your thyroid gland. Thyroid gland releases T3, T4. Right. Here you are assessing the integrity of thyrotropic cells or the factors that influence the secretory. Matlab, the factors that will what do you call influence the secretion of TRH. Secretory response here is secretion of TRH specifically. How you do this is you will administer, you will take what you'll give 200 to 400 mg microgram IV of this what you call drug, and you will take blood samples. You will give TRH. Okay, so what you will give 200 to 400 micrograms of TRH, and you will IV, and you will measure blood samples at 0 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, and 60 minutes. So at 20 minutes interval, you will measure what you call the amount of TSH present. See, यहाँ पर if TRH amount I'm giving 200 to 400 micrograms of TRH, I should be able to see that in the form of TSH. Okay, because the normal function of TRH is to cause production of TSH. That is how I will measure. When I'm giving 200 to 400 micrograms of TRH at 20-minute intervals after giving that drug IV, I will measure the TSH level. Now, normally peak response around 4 times basal TSH level should be seen within 20 to 40 minutes. Meaning, if normal TSH level kya hai? See, the normal TSH level is 0.3 to 4.5 micro IU per ml. Meaning, I should be able to get 20 to 40 times, 4 times that of normal value. Meaning 0.3 normal level है तो 1.2 दिखना मेरे को TSH in the blood within 20 to 40 minutes. That is the normal response, peak response. Okay, I hope you understood the interpretation. यहाँ पर क्या कर रहे हैं? I am giving TRH IV to that patient. Once I'm giving TRH IV, I will be able to see the response of TRH in the form of TSH. Normally, without any external stimulus, my TSH should be around 0.3 what you call micro IU per ml. Okay, let's use the lower end. 0.3 rana minimum. Okay, now when I'm giving this 200 to 400 micrograms IV, what will happen is I will get a peak response within 20 to 40 minutes, wherein because of the excessive amount of TSH will go up 4 times, meaning instead of 0.3 I'll be able to see 1.2 micro IU per ml in my blood. Okay, I hope you understood the interpretation here. What is happening? That is normally what should happen. Okay, primary hypothyroidism mein the response will be exaggerated and prolonged. So in primary hypothyroidism, if you remember, hypothyroidism mein T3 T4 are low, TSH is high. So in primary hypothyroidism you will have more than 4 times, and it will go on for a long period of time. So it will take more than 20 or 40 minutes to get the same response, and you will have more than 4 times increase in TSH because already TSH was high. Right, if you remember, primary hypothyroidism was a condition in which TSH is high but T3 T4 are low. So if you are administering more amount of TRH in that condition, what will happen is TSH generation will increase. All right, in secondary hypothyroidism, response is blunted, meaning you will get an irregular response, you will not get a proper response. Okay, in tertiary type, we didn't discuss tertiary type. It is also a subtype of hypothyroidism. In this, TSH will be delayed. The increase in TSH will be delayed, so it will go more than 60 minutes. So ये स्लाइड समझ में आया तुम लोगों को? TRH स्टिमुलेशन टेस्ट कैसा करते हैं?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Paka?
sir.
Okay. Uh, I hope all of you understood. See, until unless you tell again, I'm repeating again. Please feel free to stop me at any time and ask any doubts if you are not understanding any particular part. All right. Now, based on metabolic effects of thyroid hormone. Now, you know that your thyroid hormone has very important metabolic effects, right? If there is a fluctuation in thyroid hormones, you will generally able to see in one of these categories. So in case of hyperthyroidism, you will see increased amount of BMR, right? True hyperthyroidism, that is why EU के लिखा, ठीक है, U hyperthyroidism. यहाँ पर BMR will increase because metabolic rate increases through thyroid hormones. Now your thyroid hormones are responsible for maintaining your BMR. If there is increased amount of T3 T4, you will have increased BMR. Specifically, if you have increased T3 itself, you will have high BMR. In hypo, exactly opposite will happen. BMR will fall, right? So if BMR is high, you will eat a lot. Obviously, even if you are eating a lot, you will lose weight, right? Because your metabolic rate is so high, there will be weight loss with increased vertical appetite. In hypothyroidism, there will be weight gain with decreased appetite. Okay, although you are eating less, because your metabolic rate is so slow, what will happen is you will generate sometimes tend to gain weight. It can also happen in secondary hypothyroidism. You lose weight. Okay, your body simply because it is malnourished. You're not eating food because BMR is low. If you're not eating food, it will go into fatigue and it will go into what do you call this thing, weight loss. So first it will go into weight gain, then it will go into weight loss. Ultimately weight loss ही होता, ठीक है, दोनों में. But hypo may, it will start off with weight gain, especially if patients who have eating disorders, ठीक है, उन लोगों के अंदर weight gain होता. Right. Coming to serum cholesterol level, what will happen is this you will see specifically in hypothyroidism. In hypothyroidism, cholesterol level will increase because if BMR is low, correlate all of this with BMR. If BMR is low, the amount of cholesterol that is broken down will be low. If amount of cholesterol that is broken down, or if it is the amount of cholesterol that is converted into other hormones, I told you cholesterol is a what do you call parent hormone for other hormones as well, right? Like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all of these are formed from your steroidal hormones are formed from your cholesterol. You will study this better in fats, in lipids, metabolism of lipids that you have. But for now, cholesterol is the what you call parent of several other hormones. If BMR or metabolic rate is low, the amount of conversion of this cholesterol to other hormones will be low, meaning what will happen, cholesterol levels will increase, right? The same goes for creatinine. Now creatinine में क्या होता, यहाँ पर उल्टा हो रहा. Creatinine is a end product, serum creatine level. Creatine or creatinine, this fellow is responsible for muscle movement and muscle integrity. Okay, so if you want to have anabolism in your muscle and if you want to have better muscle function and more movement in your muscle, then what do you call, or more metabolic function of your muscle, then serum creatinine will increase. That is what is happening here. When BMR increases, your serum creatinine will increase because there will be higher demand on your muscle. All right, because your muscle is working more, one end product of muscle metabolism is uric acid. Creatinine kinase will be increased in hypo, on the other hand. Okay, uric acid will also increase in case of myxedema. So myxedema is a condition in which because of improper thyroid hormones you will start having edema, right? If you remember myxedema का अपन example देखे थे ऊपर. What is myxedema? Your pretibial myxedema is the example that we saw, right? This is also common in postmenopausal female. So in postmenopausal women, uric acid levels will go up if what you call they have improper thyroid hormones. This can lead to another problem which is gout. Okay, uric acid level high है बोले तो urate crystal form हो सकता है, उससे gout आ सकता. So they are kind of linked in this sense, right? Another thing, if thyroid hormones are very high, serum calcium levels will increase, especially in severe thyrotoxicosis. Serum calcium levels will increase a lot. All right, I hope you understood this slide. See, this last part is related to parathyroid hormone. आप लोगों को parathyroid hormone, अच्छा thyroid ही नहीं पढ़ा तो parathyroid नहीं. Okay, parathyroid hormone is they are like small 4 cells kind of thing, small what you call structures in the posterior end of your thyroid gland itself. These fellows, parathyroid hormone will secrete something called parathyroid gland will secrete something called parathyroid hormone. This parathyroid hormone's main function is maintaining the integrity of your bones. So this fellow will what do you call it will regulate the amount of calcium and phosphorus that is going inside bone and that is coming out of bone. Whenever there is hypercalcemia, increased amount of calcium in your what do you call blood, your parathyroid hormone will come into picture, and what will happen is your uh, the excessive amount of calcium and phosphorus that is present in your blood, that will be thrown into your bones. That is why your bones are called reservoirs of calcium and phosphorus. Whenever there is hypocalcemia, uh, the same hormone, what it will do is it will stimulate the what do you call uh, it will basically cause calcium and phosphorus to come out or drawn out of the bones, and what do you call it will send it to the blood, so that calcium levels go back to normal. In case of hypercalcemia, it is throwing calcium and phosphorus to bones. In case of hypocalcemia, it is pulling calcium and phosphorus out of bones. In case of what do you call thyrotoxicosis or hyperthyroidism, what will happen is PTH ka function is impaired, because of which you will have increased amount of serum calcium. All right. uh, you will understand this a little better when you study thyroid and hyperthyroid, but this is the main mechanism behind it. Right, I hope you understood that. Right, coming to scanning and visualization, how you scan. Okay, here is how the initial part where I was telling you radio immunoassay jo karte radioactive iodine jo dete gland mein, how do you measure for that? Now generally the distinguish particle this radioactive iodine will help you distinguish between diffuse glandular activity and patchy glandular activity. So it will help you understand the difference between nodular goiters and diffuse glandular activity. Nodular goiters are basically a particular area may in your gland, it is enlarging and forming a goiter in one small node. Diffuse glandular activity means it is diffusing, meaning the whole gland itself, the whole thyroid gland is being affected. So if you have radioactive iodine, you can understand. See, here there are helps in functional classification of nodules, whether they are hot or warm or cold nodules. Cold nodules will be those nodules which are not taking iodine properly. Hot or warm nodules will be those that will take up a lot of iodine. So when you have what you call diffuse glandular activity, you will see radioactive iodine that you are giving spreading all across your gland. Okay, evenly spread ho jata. Now if I'm giving what you call radioactive iodine, initially I told you to measure primary function of your thyroid gland. It is helpful through uptake study. That is one way it will help. Another way it will help is I want to know whether that patient has thyroiditis, and if they have thyroiditis, इज इट लॉब्युलर, मीनिंग एक एक लोब में ज्यादा हो रहा या एक नोड में ज्यादा इन्फ्लेमेशन हो रहा. इज देयर एक्सेसिव अमाउंट ऑफ इन्फ्लेमेशन इन वन पर्टिकुलर node where there is development of goiter, or is it diffuse where it is happening all over the gland? This radioactive iodine will help in that sense. So whenever I'm scanning the patient's thyroid gland, if it is diffuse, I'll be able to see radioactive iodine all over the gland. Okay, the whole gland will light up. If it is a nodular goiter or patchy pattern, I will see small patches of radioactive iodine being concentrated in certain areas. Those areas where it is vertical accumulating like patch, those will be called warm or hot corners, hot nodules. The ones where they are not, those will be called cold nodules basically. Okay, I hope you understand the distinction. Okay. This will also help you understand the size, shape, and position of the gland in case there are any vertical cancerous development occurring there, or if there is any goiter occurring there, or if the size is decreasing or increasing, or if the position has changed. All of this you will be able to see through radioactive iodine. All right. Then there are a few immunological tests for antibodies, right? You will do a thyroglobulin test, you will do a microsomal test, you will do a peroxidase test. In all of these you are trying to find the antibodies to thyroid tissue. So if someone has hypothyroidism, you are trying to measure whether it is autoimmune, meaning if their own antibody is killing what do you call their own cells. So if those antibodies are present, you will be able to see that in this test. So you are here measuring for thyroglobulin autoantibodies, meaning they are antibodies that are created in your body that are killing your own thyroglobulin. If you remember, thyroglobulin is something that forms T3 T4, the main cell that forms T3 T4, right? Right, that is that. And then you will also measure for TSH receptor antibodies if there is something that is what you call binding to TSH receptor and causing problems, right? Something like long-acting thyroid stimulator. So even if I told you there is a type of thyroid hyperthyroidism where even the TSH levels are normal, because there is an antibody that fellow is mimicking the function of TSH. So basically, imagine this as fake attendance. So someone is putting, let's suppose there are two fellows, person A and person B. Okay, person A came to the class, person B did not come to the class. Okay, person C, what he does is he puts a mask on with so that he looks the same as person B, and he acts like person B, giving person B attendance. Okay, यहाँ पर the same thing is happening. The antibody will mimic the function of TSH. So that antibody will act like TSH. It will come bind to TSH receptor and cause stimulation of thyroid hormones. It will cause formation of thyroid hormones. Okay, that is antibody related hyperthyroidism. You will get into that when you get into immunity and all, but this is about TFT, right? This is also a little bit, but it is not exactly that important. Different other thyroid tests, those the top ones are the main ones. Okay, up to here. I hope you understood this part. Without say, this will complete your TFT, thyroid function test. How many people are present today? 20. Okay, surprising. 20 कैसा आ गया? तबीयत खराब है तुम लोगों की? No doubts? Are you sure? If you have any doubts, please let me know. I will explain. Any particular part that you didn't understand or any particular part you want me to repeat? All right. You can put it in the chat as well if you're not able to talk through your microphone. Chat में privately भी डाल सकते हैं. Okay. Yeah, sure.